Welcome to the Worth Listening podcast, where we focus on having positive and productive conversations about money. Join your host, Lauren Williams, four-time Olympian turned financial planner, as her guests share their money stories. We aim to help you own your personal money story and feel good talking about it. Money is a tool that can help you live the life you want. You should feel comfortable listening, sharing, and communicating about it. Now, here's your host, Lauren Williams.
Hey, today I'm excited to have an Olympic medalist and world champion in the 400-meter hurdles here to share his money memoir. Bershawn Batman Jackson is short for his event, but he didn't let that stop him from becoming one of the best in the world. Some people don't even know that you can make money running track. So today we chat about what it means to be a professional track and field athlete. And as we walk through Batman's money story, we talk about him being raised by his grandma, being the first to graduate college in his family, and the pressures that come with the perception that he was rich because he had all this exposure that he received from doing well in track. He cautions that perception is not reality, but shows us that those who may be living in a tough situation have the power to change their circumstances. He is entering his final year as a professional track and field athlete and has so much wisdom to share with the next generation of professional athletes. He is entering his final year in track and field and has so much wisdom to share with the next generation of professional athletes. Let's listen as Bershawn shares his money memoir. All right, today we're talking to Bershawn Jackson. Bershawn, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Lauren Williams.
I know a lot of people call you Batman. Where did that name come from?
So Batman came from when I was a kid, maybe like around 9 to 10 years old. I ran summer track, but my name was Express. And they said I had big ears and I fly when I run. So it was kind of the nickname that I hated originally. And it kind of grew on me as I got older. But it's a childhood nickname I got when I was probably 9 to 10 years old.
Ah, that's pretty dope. It stuck with you. All right, So let's talk a little bit about childhood. Describe to us where you're from, your upbringing, and your first memory of money.
So I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I was in public housing, which is Section 8. 2-bedroom, small house, probably 13 people live in the house. I was with my parents for maybe 5 or 6 years of my life. When I turned 6 years old, I stayed with my grandma. And that's another situation where I was in a house with maybe like 12, 13 people. Coming up, it was a struggle because my grandma, it wasn't a situation where she cared more about clothes in our bag and food in our mouth. She wasn't materialistic at all. So at times I had holes in my shoes. I had to put a cardboard box for my sock won't get wet. So I grew up in a bad situation. My first experience with money was I was 19 years old. I turned professional. So my ultimate goal for going to school was to be successful. My mindset was to succeed. My mom struggled. My dad had a bad drug problem, and I feel like my ticket was track and field. A lot of coaches in college didn't think so, so I'm considered a short hurdler. All my top choices didn't want me because they feel like me being short, it wouldn't be successful on the next level. I went to the O2 World Juniors, and that's when I felt like I had a little bit of promise in track and field. I'm the first in my family to go to college, to get a college degree, so for me, there was a plus. But when I got to college, that's when I took track and field serious. So that's when I said, you know what? This might be something that I can actually do. This might be my meal ticket out of the hood and to help my family financially.
Right. I think that's so cool that you found something that was an outlet for you to be able to leave a situation that you didn't really feel like was the best situation for you. But let's go back a little bit there to your childhood and talk about like the first memory of money that you have, the thing that stands out to you about money as a child.
We didn't really have much as a child. My grandma was a maid. My grandpa had Alzheimer's, so she actually took care of him. My grandma took care of my uncle, which had cancer. He died. She took care of sister, who had Alzheimer's. She passed off. So my grandma taught me the importance of work ethic. Financially, we didn't really have it, but she installed something in me that I didn't have at all, and that was work ethic. In life, if you have work ethic, anything's possible. And she taught me the importance of working hard. I seen her work all day, come home, take care of her relatives, and cook dinner and make sure we in bed by 8 o'clock. But my first encounter with money was when I went professional. I had a dope guy. named Big Man. And I hate to say it, but if it wasn't for Big Man in high school, who knows what my life would have been. Big Man and this guy named Uncle Marvin. He's my mom's ex-husband brother, and Coach Jesse Hope. Coach Hope knew my situation. He knew my stance situation and my financial situation. And this guy kept me active in track. I wasn't the best athlete, but he made sure I had money to eat. He made sure I had money to go out of town to the track meets to help me create the passion for track and field. When I got to high school, Big Man gave me money for I won't sell dope because everybody surrounding me was selling dope. They was robbing in high school. You know, we talk about 16, 17-year-old kids coming to school with Glock 9s and 380s, talking about they finna go rob somebody. So this dope man said, you know what? Look, you got too much potential. Me and also one of my boys, Donnell Jenkins, he made sure that we stayed off the streets and stayed active in something positive. So, you know, I want to say it's my first encounter.
One of my mottos is hard work knows no limit. And so what it means to me is this idea of that if you're working hard towards something, that people will come along and help you to reach your goal. And like you said, someone saw your potential and was willing to invest in you to make sure that you had the best opportunity to be able to reach your full potential. Mm-hmm. That's a really important thing to have, especially at such a pivotal point in your life where you're in high school and there's a lot of different influences come in a lot of different ways. You can just find one person that will be willing to invest in you. But first, you got to be working hard towards something.
That's right. Definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about high school. So when did you start running track? What age was that?
So I started running track when I was 9 years old. I wasn't that kid that was the best. You know, I was always the smallest, but I had a lot of heart, desire, and guts. And once again, my coach kept me active. And then when I got into high school, I ran cross country and I always went above and beyond. And my coach always say hard work pays off. And for me, it was not paying off. It's like, wow, why I can't win? Everybody else is having success and they're doing great things, but I'm struggling.
You said the family didn't have a lot of money. So how did you actually get into track and field? You know, I know sometimes you have to pay to participate in the different team sports. How was that process and finding your way into track and field and someone making sure that they had enough money to be able to pay for you to participate in the program?
What's funny is my dad came home one day and it was a recreational park down the street in the projects. And there's an asphalt track. And my dad said they having a track meet with kids. I was so active. I was one of the most active kids you could ever meet in life. So my dad tried to figure out a point, him and my mom, tell some of the energy off so I could sleep at night. And they took me to this track and I actually won. I went there with tennis shoes on and I ran pretty good. And someone came to my dad and said, it's an organized program. Your son might fit in pretty well, you know, kind of Jesse Hope. And he took me out there. And the first year, he took me out. He was taking me to practice. And then the registration was $50. And my dad was like, oh, okay, you can't run because we can't afford it. So I didn't run. So I ran some meets. And then after a while, the coach was like, okay, if you haven't paid registration, we can't put you no more meets. So I stopped coming. Then the second year come around. And once again, my dad couldn't afford it. You know, I ran great all year. And I couldn't run no more. So I stopped running. So the coach came, come to my dad's house. He's like, I like this kid. He work hard. He don't complain. Why you don't come for the whole year? And my dad was like, well, look, we can't afford it. My dad had a really bad drug habit when he was younger in his time. God bless the dead. And money for track and field was like secondary. And this coach invested in me. This coach, he didn't say nothing else to my parents. He just said, make sure you come to practice. If you can't come to practice, I'll pick him up. And one reason I say that saved my life because I could have been in the streets with my friends or out on the corner. I had a couple of friends that got killed, drive-by shooting. So I think that kept me active. That kept me out the streets. That kept me in the sport of track and field. Not only the sport gave me a full scholarship to college, the sport actually helped me take care of my family long term. When I got to high school, you know, hard work pays off. 10th grade, I started winning. Then 11th grade, I won a couple more races. And then I started going in my senior year. I got invited to a meet called Golden West. Then I got invited to a meet called High School Nationals, New Balance. And then a lady come to me and she said, well, I will help sponsor you to go to a meet out in California for the World Juniors. Actually, I didn't get a college scholarship till I went to the World Junior Trials in Stanford. So I went to Stanford and then South Carolina was like, look, we want to offer you a scholarship. It's amazing how if you apply yourself and you run with passion and you humble yourself and you show a little signs of work ethic, how far to take you. But I eventually went to the World Juniors and got third. And then from there, I met Alan Johnson in college. I went to South Carolina for a half a semester. Then I left and went to St. Aug, and I met Marion Jones, and I seen her lifestyle, and I seen Tim Montgomery lifestyle, because they were training the same track we were training on. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it too. So from there, I kind of applied myself a little bit more when it came down to work ethic and succeeding. It's a guy named Clyde Hart. He's a legendary coach at the University of Baylor. And I would never forget this. Baylor's my number one choice because of Michael Johnson, of course. And I wrote this guy a letter, and I wanted to go to Baylor. And he said he would give me a partial scholarship because I didn't have what it took to compete on the next level. Like, my running style was different. I get out hard, and everybody think I jogged, and I kick at the end. I was short. So my running style didn't kind of collaborate with what he was trying to coach. So he said, I'll give you a partial scholarship. Sonya went to Texas, and a couple of other friends that I went to the World Juniors with, they went to Texas. So I said, I went to Bubba Thornton. I said, look, I want to come to Texas. He said, well, I'll give you a partial scholarship because we don't have enough, because we gave it to Ashton Collins and Aaron Collins and Brandon Christian, these other guys. And I ended up eventually going to South Carolina.
So did you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder then? You were reaching out to these different schools and you were kind of being turned down, or did you think about maybe taking some of the partial money and maybe trying to find another way to pay for it, or was full scholarship your only option?
No, I'm a type of person, I run with confidence. I compete with confidence. I go through life with confidence, and I'm one of them killers. I feel like I'm a killer when it comes down to athletics, when it comes down to anything I do in life. And I felt like it was an insult. In high school, I went 35.3, which is the high school national record at the time in the 300-meter hurdles. I ran 50 flat in the 400-meter hurdles. I won the high school nationals at New Balance in the 200. So I showed a wide range of versatility. You know, one of my downfalls why I feel like people didn't want to involve with me because I was a bad kid. I wasn't bad. I was a product of my environment. I got in a lot of fights. I feel like where I'm from, one fight, we all fight. So I got in a lot of confrontations in high school, but I was never a bad kid. I was one of them kids that I just needed some direction. I needed a way out. And track and field is my way out. You know, I can honestly say since I went to college, I have not been in no major trouble with the law. I have not been in no fights. I got my college degree. And most of all, I'm an Olympic medalist. But it was a chip on my shoulder. You know, I felt like I'm going to prove these people wrong. To this day, I ran the 7th fastest time ever in my event. So you talk about a kid that's short and can't compete in the hurdles to running the 7th fastest time ever in the history of the sport. So that gave me motivation. And then my message to kids is, no matter where you go, no matter what you want to do in life, anything you set your mind to, you can achieve. Can nothing stop you at all. And I'm a proven testimony saying nothing can stop me. I could be, it don't matter if you're in the projects, it don't matter if your mom make $20,000 a year. If you want to succeed and you got your mind set on succeeding, can nothing stop you.
I think that's really great advice for kids. And I think it is a great story to hear how much you overcame and how dedicated you were to overcoming the obstacles you faced in life in order to be successful. So let's talk a little bit about what that looked like. Your first job was track and field, correct?
Yeah, my first job was track and field.
All right. So you went to the University of St. Augustine. Is that proper?
Yes. St. Augustine University. Yes.
And tell us a little bit of the story of, how you did there and how you ended up as a professional track and field athlete.
But it's weird because I went to the University of South Carolina originally, and I stayed there for one semester. Things didn't work out there, and I went home, and I was going to go to another school, and they said I had to sit out for a year. And they said the only way I wouldn't have to sit out if I went Division II or JUCO. But Coach Williams being from Miami, they was like, get this guy a chance. Didn't know much about St. Augustine's University, and I go there, and it was terrible, Lauren. It was absolutely terrible. It's a 1,000-student college, very old, very historic. My dorm didn't have no AC in it. It was just different from going from South Carolina to here. And I gave it a shot. And when I gave it a shot, I did not lose a single race my freshman year. My freshman year was 2004. And I won every race when I started on the track. You know, I didn't lose a race. I broke every meet record. I got better and better and better and better.
Do you think that you maybe had to draw on your childhood upbringing? Because so frequently we're a product of our upbringing. So you went to South Carolina, maybe it was a more plush arrangement, a bigger school with fancier equipment, et cetera.
Definitely.
But then you got to St. Aug and it might have been a little bit more like home. You got to find your space, you got to make your way, and you got to earn your keep sort of thing. So maybe that helped you.
Definitely. I think it helped me in a lot of ways. It kept me humble. It kept me focused. It kept me engaged to what I want to do. When I first got there, nobody knew me. And none of the athletes knew me because a lot of them was already there. And most of them really followed high school track. And Coach Williams worked with me. And for some reason, Lauren, I feel like in order to beat me, you got to outwork me. And I feel like the common denominator and success and gold medals to silver medals to bronze medals, work ethic. And I went there and I worked hard and I had a goal and I had something I wanted to achieve. And I had to get into it with the athletes because they say I'm trying to impress the coach. And you know how it is being a new guy. But it was very humbling being there. It was very poor. Our per diem was like $15, $20 a day versus I'm talking to you and Lord Sonia and y'all per diem, maybe $100 per day. So it was a different atmosphere. But no matter where you go in life, once again, can nothing stop you, whether it's Division II, you got good guidance. For me, I had great guidance. I had the best hurdle coach that I have ever been with in my life. This guy gave me so much direction. And he said, if you follow me, I will take you there. And I believed in him and I did everything he asked of me. And Lauren, when I say my career took off, it took off. From the first race I stepped on the track, I started getting the recognition, like, who was this guy from St. Augustine? Since the people, my peers that made the World Juniors knew who I were and my high school peers, but the professional scene didn't see it coming.
All right. So take us through a little bit about how you became a professional athlete. What does that process look like? And tell us the story of going pro.
The story of going pro that was always my mindset. And I regret going pro early. I went pro after my freshman year. I dominated collegiate. And when I dominated college, I dominated the professional circuit. And I lost one race prior. I ran one pro race. So how they set it up is I ran Division II. Then I went to the pin relays and raced some Division I athletes. At the time, Karan Clement was the big dog in D1, and I was a big dog in D2, and I beat him at pin relays. But then I went to a meet called a Prefontaine, and I raced against the reigning world champion, which was Felix Sanchez, and he beat me. I took second. And when I took second, Nike, of course, offered me. But my agent kept saying, stay in school another year, and you can make more money next year. But my first contract was $45,000, which is no money at all. But my only goal was to go pro and help my mom. My mom cried every day, talking about how she couldn't do this, how she couldn't do that. So my goal was to go pro to help my mom.
Let's pause there for a second. So you get this contract, you get your first paycheck. What did you do with that first paycheck?
So how track and field works is it takes a while to kind of complete the contract. So they give you a signing bonus. My signing bonus was $15,000. So my agent had my contract structured. He had it. My coach got a fee. Since I went pro after my freshman year, they paid for my education. So my education was free. And then they gave me $45,000 and $15,000 signing bonus. I took $10,000 of the money and I said, Mom, put this towards your house and pay your bills off for 2 years. And you keep the rest. And then I took the $5,000 and put down on the car because I needed something to drive. So I blew through that $15,000 right away. That $15,000 was gone in no time. But then I went to Europe. I missed the Olympic team in 2004. I took fourth at Olympic trials. So that was a bummer because in my contract, they had if I make the team, it'd be additional $30,000. So I'll be making $75,000 instead of $45,000.
I think this is a great place to pause and kind of just talk through how it works in track and field, the way that you make money. So you get a contract, there's some bonuses, there's some incentives, then there's the opportunity to go over to Europe and make money, different ways that you can make money in track and field.
Yeah, so it's different ways you can make money. I had some really tough incentives. I had top 3. My first contract was not the best contract. Numbers don't lie. They said, my contract wasn't as big because I was Division II, the competition level, but I had the second fastest time in the world that year. That year I went 47.8 as a 19-year-old. Felix Sanchez went 47.6. So I had the second fastest time in the world, but I was desperate. And when Nike sensed I was desperate, they gave me a desperation contract. But I had incentives. I had top 3 in the world incentives. If I don't make top 3 in the world, I get reduced. I had a cap on my contract. If I win so many gold medals, I couldn't surpass $130,000. So basically, I could win gold medals from 2004 to 2008. No matter how much I win, I could not make more than this type of money. So I got my contract restructured, and they redid it because I won the world championship the very next year. So I signed pro in 2004. And in 2005, I was world champion. So if I go to school my sophomore season, I go from making $45,000 to $245,000. I didn't have no direction. Everything's about timing. And for me, I was being too fast. And I want to say that almost sabotaged my career. Only because It's so much harder to negotiate a $500,000 contract when you start out making $45,000.
What would you have done differently from the year that you signed to the year that you feel like if you would have stayed one more year, you could have negotiated differently? How would you have gotten that education, or what advice would you give to someone else that maybe doesn't know so much about this process that's trying to get into track and field?
I think, Lauren, everything is timing. For me, if I would have stayed in school one more year, like I said, I was so much stronger, faster, knowledgeable. I learned how to run a race. I kind of struggled my freshman year because of I ran 300 hurdles in high school and I had to convert to 400 hurdles. I went from being a sprinter to being a quarter miler. It was a lot I had to learn, and I had a lot more negotiation power. 2006, my third race of the year, I ran 47.6. And that was one of the fastest times ran in probably 4 or 5 years. So with that being said, I could have said, you know what, I'm the man. This is what I did. You got to pay me. Instead, I went kind of vulnerable. They were like, he's young. We don't know how he'll turn out. He desperate. Let me just give him this money. He'll take it. So my advice to kids is everything's done with timing. Timing is everything. If I had somebody tell me, you know what, that's not real money, don't take it. Or throw me comparisons like, okay, this is more than what James Carter made. It's more than what. But I look at it and my sense is that's not Bershawn Batman Jackson. We two different people. But at the time, I'm like, okay, 45,000 more my mama made, so I'm going to take it.
Let's talk a little bit about that pressure, because frequently we hear about athletes going pro in all different sorts of sports and feeling the pressures of their family, and often gentlemen buy their mother a home. So can you just pause there and talk about this deep desire that you had to help your mother and what your feelings were like in that?
It was mixed emotions. I wanted to go pro. This is something I had to do. Then I told my agent, I told my coach. My coach was upset. My coach kept saying, come to school another day. And I'm like, another year. And I'm like, nah, I got to go pro. It's nothing. I done achieved everything I can achieve. I broke the national record in college. I done made the world championship team in high school. So it's like, what else I got to prove? I done made the team on a high level. So I actually won U.S. Nationals when I was 18 years old. I took second overall, and I made the team in Paris. And the guy that won in the pot for steroids, and they gave me the victory. And then I went to school for 1 year like I promised coach, because I was going to go pro after Paris, but I got disqualified. I gave him his promise. I said, you know what? I gave you your 1 year. What else I have to prove on this collegiate level? But I would have learned a lot more going back to school. But the ultimate thing was to go pro. And then when you go pro, you got another boundary I got to face now. Now everybody think I'm making millions because Batman the big talk. So everybody had their hand out. But I'm only making $45,000. What was my lifesaver is, Lauren, is in Europe, you make money. So I won every race after the Olympic trials in 2004, even the Grand Prix finals, which get $30,000 for the winner. So I won all these races, and I probably made about $90K my first year on the circuit. That's just talking about prize money and appearance fee. I was probably getting $2,000 or $3,000 appearance fee. The 2005 season come around, and I dominate. I did not lose 2005. And I started hearing about appearance fee. I'm like, so I asked my agent, why not get no appearance fee? And he said, well, you nobody, you a no name. I went to and I love this guy. This guy named Ian Stewart was the meet director of London. He's the most upfront guy I've ever met. He's the first guy I got into an encounter with because I felt disrespected. I'm like, I got the fast time in the world. I am dominating the sport. And you don't want to give me no appearance fee? Appearance fee, I feel like the athletes who run it well, he say, you haven't done nothing to get an appearance fee. You won these meets. Until you get a medal, I can't give you no appearance fee. So as another chip on my shoulder, I'm like, I'm going to show these people that I can get a medal. So that season, we went to Helsinki and I won Worlds. So 2005 was the turning point of my financial life because I won Worlds at $60,000. And then I won every meet after Worlds. So that 2005 season, I think in my taxes, I probably made $745,000. That's with contract and prize money put together.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what it was like earning that kind of money and what you were thinking as it pertains to managing your finances when money started to really come in.
I was very smart at first with my money. I was the most uptight, cheap guy you could ever meet. My dad is a penny pincher. So when I first got the real revenue, I didn't really spend my money. I spent it cautiously. I was careful about the things I was doing with my money. The biggest purchase I had, I had a baby girl in 2005 and I bought a house. I said, I would not raise my daughter inside no apartment. And I bought a house and I didn't spend much. My spending habits changed in 2006. 2006, that's when I started, you hang around. I was hanging around a whole bunch of duds, whole bunch of losers. I ain't gonna call them losers. I'm gonna call them people with different type of ambition. And I'm paying for everybody to get in the club and everybody, oh, Batman's the rock star and Batman this and oh my God, I want to hang around Batman. And that's what set everything off. 2006, that's when I made a ton of money. I was making $30,000 a race, and that's when my spending habits changed.
Did you have anyone in your life at this time that was helping you organize your finances, get bills paid? Did you hire anybody as part of your financial entourage?
No, I did not. And I regret not doing that. I was my own financial planner. I met a lady named Pamela Watson down the line, which is the worst mistake of my life. I met her through a good friend of mine, Sonia Richards Ross. She introduced me to this young lady. And that probably was the downfall of my career, meeting this lady here. I didn't have nobody. I have no guidance. Only thing I had was my own instinct. I knew I never had money. I got to the point where I was loaning out money to everyone. I was giving people money that I didn't really know because I felt like I had it. I'm making it. So if I'm making all this money, if I'm making $30,000 a race, who gives a damn if I spend $5,000? Or who gives a damn if I spend $10,000? The money is there. I got it. I think that broke me. That broke me big time, Lauren, because you talk about how I bought an S550 cash that was $95,000. I bought an Escalade cash. And then the funny part about the Escalade is I went to Europe and I brought back home $69,000. I went to 2 meets in Japan. And I brought back home $69,000 from Japan cash. I stuck it in my crotch and I came over the border and I went straight to the Cadillac dealership and I told them, I'm going to give you 65 out the door. Cash right here. Take it or leave it. And they took it, of course, and I bought an Escalade. Then I went across the street and put some 26-inch rims on it. And that was my lifestyle. I was going to strip clubs and I was paying for all my buddies to get in and everybody free, bottles on me. We were going to paying for everybody drinks. We was going courtside to the Heat games on me, all my childhood friends I went to school with. And that's the lifestyle that I was living. Was any one of my friends saying, you know what, Batman, that you spending too much money, man. I spent $20,000 in a strip club before. And it's like, I had no friend to tell me that's not right. You shouldn't be spending that type of money.
Nobody tried to stop you, right?
Nobody stopped me. Everybody said, oh, man, Batman, my dog. Oh, that's my boy.
It sounds like you're setting us up to let us know that you made some mistakes. You said one was hiring a young lady. What did that young lady do for you?
She was my accountant. So she handled my taxes. She handled my finances. So I sent her $175,000. So she must have been holding on to this money and planning everything. She also did my tax stuff.
Was she holding it for savings or she was holding it to pay your taxes later?
No, holding it for savings, holding it for I won't spend it for later on down the road. So the whole purpose behind it was to put money away. So when I retire, I have a nice substantial amount of money, but like a 401k. It's like a 401k type thing.
Did she have any like investment licenses or anything like that?
She did. She had a vested license. Like I said, she was really good friends with Miss Richards. She was very trustworthy. I could say that. How everything went downhill was I gave her power of attorney. And when I gave her power of attorney, she had rights to everything.
Let's talk a little bit about what power of attorney is and why you gave her power of attorney.
Power of attorney is when they have rights to you. And I gave her power of attorney because I was doing a lot of traveling and she was back and forth with the tax people. So she was doing my taxes. So if I'm not there, she could speak on behalf of me. So I gave her power of attorney, not really understanding the person behind power of attorney. Me being young, me trusting her, thinking she's doing my taxes. And Lauren, I can remember paying $10,000 one year for taxes. 2005, I paid $10,000. Never forget it. I paid $9,000. And the very next year, 2006, I paid $82,000. And I made about the same amount of money. I made a lot of money. 2006 and 2010 was my biggest 2 years. I probably made $800,000 before taxes. So I say, wow. I said, why fluctuate? And then 2011, I didn't make that much money. And I had 2 kids and write-offs. And I paid a lot more money than I paid in 2010 when I had no write-offs. So it was kind of suspect. And I told Sonya, I say, man, I think this lady taking my money. It's not right. It's like something ain't right with this lady. She's like, no, she wouldn't do that. Auntie Pam not like that. But it was exactly like that. She ended up going to jail for tax fraud. So basically what she was doing is she would tell us we owe 80 grand, but in reality we owe 20 grand. And she pocketed the rest. She taking $60,000.
Mm.
And she took over $5.4 million and she ended up getting arrested. And she's doing Fed time.
From various people.
From various people, she took money, even Sonia. That put me under. What hurt me the most in my career was meeting her because she told me to pay taxes in Florida. She said, pay taxes in Florida because it's cheaper. And I told her, maybe I should pay it in North Carolina. She said, well, if you pay tax in Florida, you'll save 10%. So I said, okay, cool. That's no problem. I'll do it. But what haunted me is when she got in trouble, I had 2 houses in North Carolina. So Florida only pay federal. In North Carolina, you pay state and federal. How I'm going to sum it all up is I had to pay $89,000 back taxes in the state of North Carolina because she was filed in Florida and I had 2 houses in North Carolina. They said, well, you living here if you got 2 houses and they both in your name. And I tried to explain to them, well, at the time, I wasn't living there and I was living in Kansas and I was living here, I was living there, and they didn't want to hear it. So she went to jail. She took my money. It just a lot happened at one time. And I just could not believe this lady was steal from me. And then the lawyer called me and said, you're a victim. And it's like, wow, what I'm going to do now? And I was in disbelief because I didn't know what to do next.
So did you get an opportunity to get any of that money back?
Never get that money back. I had to pay the taxes.
So all the taxes that she had never paid on your behalf, you also had to pay back?
Yep, I had to pay all that money back. So from 2005 to 2006, 2012, doing so well. I took some pretty bad falls in my career. 2004, my hurdle got crashed and I missed the Olympic team. And I just feel like they took something from me. They wouldn't speak on my behalf. They couldn't give me an example of what's going on. And then she took all my money. It's like, damn, how I go from making all this money. At one point, I have $500,000 in the bank to not having no money because Uncle Sam put a seize on my bank account. And you think about all the hundreds of thousands that I gave away to people, loaning out $10,000 here, loaning $10,000 there. And it's like, damn, what happened? It went to a place where everybody don't love Batman no more. Like, who was this guy? Ain't no more phone calls. Ain't no more, let's go to the nightclub. Once the drink stopped happening, then everybody disappeared. So 2012 to 2015 was probably the worst time of my life. Because it's like, now I got a $500,000 house. How am I going to pay for it? And at one point, I still was living. I lived from 2013 to 2014. I was living. My contract went up and I was demanding all this money. They wouldn't give it to me because they felt like I was older. And I was still spending like I still had it like that. I still had over $300K in that bank account. And in 3 years, $300K vanished.
Let's pause right there and talk a little bit about what your mindset was in the process of deciding I'm going to continue to spend, or how you felt that made you continue to spend after having been burnt and experienced these different fluctuations in income and been taken advantage of by someone. Some people might be saying, oh my goodness, this happened to you. Like, why didn't you get on the straight and narrow sort of thing? But talk about the feelings that someone feels as a track and field athlete to continue to spend like that.
That's a great question, Lauren. When you young and making money, my whole career I've always made money. I had never had a bad year in my life. Every year I was always the dominant hurdler that everybody feared. Every year I just felt like I'm going to make the money back. I'm going to spend because I'm going to have a good year next year. And I have a decent season, then I pull my hamstring. Then the next year come. I'm going to kill it this year. This is my year. Great fall. Then I pull my hamstring. So to people that don't know in track and field, if you pull your hamstring or you have a major injury, they pay you to be on the track and competing. They don't pay you to be at home. So in my contract, if I'm not top 3 in the world, I get reduced. With a pulled hamstring, I can't compete, so I'm not top 3 in the world. I'm reduced. But I'm still spending like I got it, and I'm reduced again. And then my dad died. Then when my dad died, I go into depression. Let's rewind a little bit. 2015, I had an amazing season. 2015, I felt like I was unbeatable. Made a ton of money. Having a dominant season, Batman is back. I'm back on top of my game. Get to the World Championship, pull my hamstring. Right after the World Championship, with my dad, he telling me, son, I love you no matter what. And we go to the Great Wall of China. And I come home from the World Championship, and your daddy is dead. So it's amazing how the chain of events that happened, that occurred, like, wow, this kid go from this point in his life for being untouchable to being the normal regular Batman. It took a lot to face reality, like, wow, what happened? How did I get to this point in my life? And as me being a soldier, I said, I'm going to bounce back. And I always bounce back, Lauren. One thing I can say, you can't stop a guy with ambition. You cannot stop him because no matter what you throw at him, he going to overcome that adversity. I ain't supposed to be here in the first place. They told me I wasn't going to make it. They told me I wasn't going to be the man that I am. So everything I did was house money. This set me up for the next chapter of my life. But every time, Lauren, I got under, every time they tried to throw a stone at me, I bounced back every time.
It just sounds like that your belief in yourself is the thing that led you to kind of keep making similar decisions. And then also the emotions was something that was leading you to keep doing the same sort of thing, knowing that it was pretty risky to try to continue to achieve that. And I think it's a really good point to bring up is that money is very, very emotional, and it's very hard for people to be objective about money. It's easy for others to cast judgment on what they would do with someone else's paycheck or if they had this amount or that amount. But the reality is money is very emotional. And when you go through something that is emotionally very traumatic, it also affects your spending. And so I thank you for being so transparent with us about all the different emotions and all the different things that were happening to you that caused you to feel, I'm going to bounce back. I believe in myself. But at the same time, going through these other traumatic things and trying to balance all of that. So really, thank you for sharing that.
So you got reality and you got your fake reality. And I think the reality is I kept spending like I still had it. And it got to the point, I looked at my bank and I'm like, damn, I don't got it. It's gone. And I ain't going to say I'm to the point where I'm on bended knees, but it's not the $300,000 bank account where I can just swipe anytime I go somewhere. And that's where I had to realize and say, you know what? I have to plan accordingly. So my planning was a huge blessing because it helped me say, okay, I can't just spend like I got it like that. It was a great lesson to me because now I can teach my kids to be responsible when they turn professional and how not to spend this type of money when like basically invest. If I knew what I knew now, I probably blew over $100,000 in partying, probably in 1 year because I spent $20,000 at the strip club. So I can believe that I spent over $100,000. Imagine I put $100,000 into a franchise or take the $100,000 and put that towards something productive, a scholarship fund for another kid that can't make it out of the projects. And it's never too late because God put us in situations to learn and teach others. He put me in this position so I can say, you know what? I made it out the projects. I'm an Olympic medalist. I had over $1 million. Party blew all of it. But I'm still here standing and I can teach the next kid what not to do when he make $1 million.
Yeah, I think it's so important to be able to share because education is the most important part of getting financial freedom and having financial literacy. With the knowledge is the power. And really being able to share this with someone else who might be making the same decision, I think could turn somebody around right in their tracks and cause them to get on the right paths. So let's talk a little bit about your family. You mentioned being married and having some children. So what are you planning on teaching your kids about money, or how are you teaching your kids about money now after all you've experienced?
One thing I teach my kids is knowing the importance of a dollar. A lot of kids, and my kids would never experience being in the projects. My kids would never experience not having a Christmas. So from day one, I preach knowing what a dollar is, being appreciative of everything they get. Because you're not always going to have it. You're not always going to be on top. You're not always going to have millions of dollars. But you got to maximize every opportunity. For them, my kids going to be successful. I feel like I'm going to prepare them in every way to be successful in life. The main thing for me, Lauren, is them getting a full education to college. Get a full scholarship to college. And financially, I want to make sure they plan. They don't spend crazy, and they got something set up for the future. Because one day they're not going to run track, and one day they're not going to work anymore. It's a life after track and field. It's a life after retiring from work. You want to be set up to the point where you're not struggling, or you're not on bended knees, or you're not begging your peers for money, financial assistance. It's so much easier and a better life when you financially stable on your own. People respect you more. People look at you differently when you have money, so to speak.
I don't think it's so much about having money as it is about having a plan and living below your means. That is the thing that people are drawn to. When you're organized and you have a plan, you can be a lot more at peace yourself, and people are drawn to that energy. And that's what makes people kind of want to be around you. When you don't have that financial stress, and you really have a plan on what you're doing.
That's right.
One thing we didn't talk about was the attitude about money in your profession. So across the board in track and field, what would you say if you had to kind of make some general statements about how many athletes are organizing their finances and what they're doing? And are athletes in track and field pretty open to talking about this and discussing how to be better educated with the money? Like, what's the culture of the sport?
The culture of sport, they're not wise with their money at all. They don't make really good decisions with their money. A lot of them is very in denial and ignorant when it comes to finances because they feel like you're going to make it forever. But I wish more athletes understood the importance of putting money to the side and know the importance of not spending all your money up and applying yourself and having a long-term plan. Because one of the fishes we face is we think we make this money forever, and then Nike cut you and they reduce you, and then you have no plan. You have nothing to fall back on. And you spend your money, then all of a sudden, damn, what happened? What did time take us? So I think athletes should be more cautious, especially athletes nowadays, because they're making more money than we ever made, but they have no plan.
What would you say would solve the problem? At age 19 or 20, you're an adult, so it's more money than probably anybody in your family's ever seen, and you don't necessarily want them, quote unquote, in your business. What does a 19 or a 20-year-old do to be able to make sure they don't get taken advantage of? How do they organize their finances if they don't have a lot of financial education on their own?
Get a financial advisor. What you're doing, Lauren, is a great thing. I wish I had Worth Winning when I was a 20-year-old. A company that cares about my finances and cares about me having a stable background when I retire and having something set up and knowing how to finance my money and knowing how to put things in place in perspective, like my bills and having a plan. I never had a plan. If I want that car, I'm going to buy it. If I want that $4,000 TV, I'm going to buy it. If I want to go on this $10,000 trip, I'm going on it. So I never had a plan. I just didn't care. I feel like I'm going to make money forever and nothing can stop me. And you can't tell me nothing because I made it here on my own. I refuse to let anybody tell me what to do with my damn money because it's my money. And if kids understand, okay, Worth Winning is a great thing for a lot of kids to know, okay, I need a plan. I need to have something stable set up so when I do retire or if I do have a bad day, I have something to fall back on.
Yeah, I think it's really important if there is one message that young pro athletes who, like you said, may have issues trusting those around them and may not trust them simply because they know they also don't know. It's hard to, like you said, ask your mother what to do with your $200,000 if your mother's only ever made $20,000. That's where a professional comes into play. Someone that you can pay to be objective with all aspects of your finances. That's a really valuable thing. And I think sometimes people get caught up in the cost that they have to pay someone. It's like, I have to pay you to tell me what to do with my money.
Exactly.
You have members of your entourage, though, that you pay the agent to help you get the money. You pay the nutritionist to tell you what to eat, the coach, etc. And you need to start thinking of the financial planner in addition to the accountant as other members of your entourage that are necessary to help you have more money in your pocket at the end of the day.
That's right.
Because the investment in them is going to save you from the expensive mistakes that you could make.
That's right.
We covered a lot of ground here. Do you have any last parting words before we go into our lightning round?
No.
All right, here we go then. So we got just a couple questions for you. And it's kind of, short answer, not one word answers, but just quick. All right, so you got $20 in your pocket right now. What do you spend it on?
Save it, unless I have to absolutely spend it.
Amen. All right. What did you least expect about your career in professional sports?
What I least expect in my career is for me to face people in life that would take advantage of you when you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think nobody really sees that coming because our instinct is to trust first. All right.
That's right.
What's the best thing about being an athlete?
Setting a goal and achieving it.
What is the most meaningful gift you received? Who was it from and why was it meaningful?
The most meaningful gift I ever received, I want to say my children, because I look at them and I see a reflection of me. And I see their talents. They bring me so much life. I guess without them going through these hard times, I could never succeed or made it without my kids. So I think they're the most precious gift I ever received in life.
I think that's wonderful to really love and care for them in such a way. All right. Worst advice you've ever received?
Going with Pamela Watson, doing my financial advising. She really screwed me. And the best thing about my situation, what I'm happy about, is I actually learned and it didn't kill me. I went through this adversity. I know I probably have $500,000 more money in the bank, but I'm still surviving. Like, I'm still here. I actually learned from my mistake. She didn't kill me to the point where I just sunk under. So that's the worst mistake probably could ever did.
All right. Best advice you've ever received?
Anything you set your mind to, you can achieve. No matter who you are, no matter where you're going. If you want to succeed and you set a goal for yourself, can nothing stop you.
Amen to that. All right. And so last but not least, at Worth Listening, we have 2 mottos. And one of them is you don't have to get it all right to be all right, which is pretty much what you were just saying before. You didn't get that right with Pam, but you're still all right.
Yes.
So, I mean, the principle is that we all make mistakes, but the mistake is not what's crippling. It's the inability to be open and deal with the cause of mistake that really is the thing that causes catastrophe.
That's right.
So with that said, our final question is, can you share with us one thing you would like to improve about your finances in the upcoming year?
I want to get my bank account back to where it used to be. Comfortable, no worries, and plan a lot better. I want to be a better planner now than I was before. I didn't plan much. I just I did. I just did what I did, and I was naive to what was the outcome of it. I think now it's more planning. I want to do a better planner now.
What's the action item that's going to help you achieve that goal?
Honestly, and I'm just saying this is getting with Worth Winning and sitting down with Lauren Williams and let her help me plan and structure my life.
Hey, I will roll with that. Yeah, for sure. We'd be happy to help. All right. So tell everybody what you're up to now, how they can support you, where they can find you on social media, all that good stuff.
So you can find me on Instagram. I run Fast 4700, or on Twitter on Bershawn Jackson. It was my last season. I was going to make it my last season last year, but I want to give it one more shot. I feel like I still have what it takes. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I think I can do it one more time.
Awesome. So still competing in track and field and looking forward to planning for the future.
Yes.
Batman, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Lauren.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Bershawn's money memoir. There were so many teachable moments he shared with us. Let me try to hit on just a couple. The first, the pressure of helping family. Many people deal with this. So you may be the best earner or the first college graduate in the family, and others might assume that your financial situation is so much better than theirs, and that you should be using all your riches to give back to them and others in your community. Don't be stingy, they may be saying, but there's no need to pretend that you have what you don't. You may be struggling with student loan debt because of your new degree, or simply trying to create a plan that is financially responsible so that you can, in fact, break the cycle of financial hardship that you've experienced up to this point. Remember, you can help others more when you first help yourself. Step 1 to helping yourself is creating a plan, and in that plan, you can include helping others. And when you have a plan, it's so much easier to say no to things that don't fit within the plan because you have a clear picture of what you can and cannot do. The other thing I want to touch on is the value of seeking financial advice before you make a financial mistake. Batman says he wished he would have started his career with a financial planner, which, for the record, is not the same thing as an accountant. If you're looking for someone's help with financial advice, a great place to start is cfp.net. This is where you can find people that are listed that are certified financial planners. And of course, you can always reach out to Worth Winning, just like Batman said he was going to do. Our word of the day, power of attorney. Power of attorney means you give someone permission to step in and act on your behalf. Batman talked about how he gave his accountant financial power of attorney to handle his money and all the fraudulent behavior she chose to do instead. Power of attorney should be used with extreme caution for situations such as if you're unable to make decisions on your own, like you're in the hospital. Being busy is seldom a good reason to give someone else access to your finances. So what are some ways to avoid giving power of attorney to the wrong person? 1, get a second opinion. Someone starts to pressure you and say that, oh, this is an easy thing. You can just give me power of attorney and make it sound like it's no big deal. Make sure you get a second opinion. Call a lawyer, call a friend. If it's a financial power of attorney, call another financial professional before you agree to anything. Also, check in periodically if you do give someone financial power of attorney or any power of attorney to make sure that they're not using that power in a way that you don't know about. If you want help organizing your finances or have questions, suggestions for guests, or would like to share your own money memoir, please contact us through our website, worth-winning.com. worth-winning.com. Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you found this episode worth listening to.